Every successful household needs good help. That's what my mother said, as my 5-year-old son pulled a heavy gray cleaning apron out of his Christmas gift box. She didn't hesitate. She didn't look embarrassed. She just smiled politely and pointed to the professional cleaning set she had wrapped for my daughter. "Tyler will lead this family one day," she added, gesturing toward my nephew, who was already opening an expensive drone. "He needs to learn leadership early. Your children need to understand their role." Tyler laughed and powered up the drone, waving it around carelessly. "Make sure my boots are clean before you go," he said casually. I didn't raise my voice. I stood up, gently took the aprons from my children's hands, dropped them into the trash, and walked out the front door without saying a word. Before I tell you what I discovered the next morning, and how I responded, take a moment to comment and tell me where you're listening from. I'd love to know how far this story reaches. The drive back to my condo was painfully quiet. Leo and Mia fell asleep in the back seat before we even reached the highway, holding the empty space where real gifts should have been. I didn't turn on the radio. I needed the silence. For 32 years, I had been the dependable one, the fixer, the person who kept everything running. But as the city lights blurred past, I realized I wasn't mourning my parents. I was mourning the years I had spent trying to earn something they never intended to give. When we got home, I carried the kids to bed, tucked them in, and walked straight into my home office. No tea, no distractions. I opened my laptop. I'm the lead landscape architect at one of the most competitive firms in the city, but for the last 3 years I had quietly designed a massive green urban project for my family's company. It was meant to be my legacy, an eco-focused city park system worth millions. But because my name wasn't Justin, my father insisted I stay invisible while my brother took the credit. I logged into the company's private server. My plan was simple: remove their access, secure my designs, and use that leverage to force a conversation. But the moment the screen loaded, my breath caught. The activity logs were updating live. Someone was already logged in, as an administrator. I stared at the screen, and for the first time that night, my confidence wavered. Why was I even surprised? Why did part of me still feel the urge to call my father and ask for an explanation? That's the invisible bond you grow up with when you're raised to survive instead of belong. You're taught that love is something you earn, and that one wrong step puts you in debt again. From the time I was 6 years old, my parents made it clear. Justin was the future. I was the backup. I wasn't just a sister. I was the safety net, the emergency solution, the person they could rely on when things went wrong. They trained me to believe that simply existing in the family came with a cost, and that payment was expected daily. 3 years ago, my father called me in tears. He said the company was collapsing. He said the property would be lost. I emptied my savings. $50,000. Every dollar I had earned by working overtime, taking side projects, and pushing myself past exhaustion. I told myself I was protecting the family. 2 weeks later, Justin arrived in a brand new luxury SUV. When I questioned it, my mother told me not to be bitter. She said image mattered in business. I swallowed my anger and convinced myself I was helping, but I wasn't helping. I was paying for approval that never existed. Sitting alone in the dark, watching the cursor blink on my screen, something finally broke free. They had shaped me to serve, but they forgot something important. The person who keeps everything running is also the one who understands how it works. I focused back on the server. The main project folder wasn't just open, it was being transferred. Not copied, moved. I watched the progress bar crawl forward. I tried to stop it. I typed commands as fast as I could, attempting a remote lock. A red message appeared. Administrative access revoked. Those words landed harder than any argument ever had. I checked the backups. Unavailable. I checked the cloud mirror. Compromised. In less than a minute, 3 years of work disappeared. Thousands of hours. Detailed plans, research, designs. The Green City project wasn't just a concept. It was a fully approved contract worth millions. It was the future of the company, and it was gone. My phone buzzed on the desk. I picked it up. A message from Justin. No greeting, no apology. Just a photo. A smiling selfie. He was sitting in the back seat of a luxury car, holding a glass of champagne, wearing that confident smile that had protected him his entire life. The caption beneath the photo read, "Thanks for the inheritance, little ant. Don't worry, I'll put my name on it so it actually sells. You stick to cleaning." I didn't throw my phone. I didn't cry. Instead, a quiet calm settled in, the kind that comes when everything suddenly makes sense. This wasn't someone taking credit. This was a calculated move. Justin couldn't design a simple backyard project, let alone a complex urban system. He needed my work to secure a partnership with a global development firm that week. But money wasn't enough. He wanted me erased. By removing my access and deleting the backups, he believed I'd never be able to prove the work was mine. He was counting on me staying quiet, on me choosing peace over truth, on me being the good sister who wouldn't challenge family. He thought the story ended there. I looked at the photo again. Little Ant. That was what he used to call me when we were kids, right before ruining whatever I had built, knowing our parents would laugh it off. He still thought I was small. He still thought I had no power because I didn't inherit a title or a nameplate. What Justin forgot was something important. He didn't build any of this. Yes, he took the files. Yes, he took the designs and the data. But he never looked beneath the surface. If he had, he would have noticed what I embedded years ago. Quietly, carefully, precisely for a moment like this. I set the phone down. I didn't need to beg. I didn't need to demand access. I didn't even need legal help yet. I just needed to be present when he tried to explain work he didn't understand. Panic is what people feel when they still believe the world is fair. I stopped believing that years ago. I leaned forward, the light from the screen reflecting back at me, and opened a secure command window I had installed long before this night. Justin believed changing a password meant control. He believed taking files meant ownership. That was his mistake. He thought the game was over. It wasn't even close. He assumed he understood me. To him, the Green City project was just a collection of nice visuals and marketable assets. He didn't realize it was a living system, coded from the ground up, every detail deliberate. And because I knew exactly who my brother was, a thief with a grin, I had planned for this. I typed a string of characters into my laptop. To anyone else, it looked like random text, but on the screen, a hidden directory appeared. It wasn't on the company server. It was buried deep in the metadata of the 3D models. Architects call it a digital watermark. I call it a dead man switch. 3 years ago, when I began building the core models, I embedded a script inside the virtual city, invisible, dormant, untouched by renders, VR walkthroughs, or even printed blueprints. It was waiting for a specific trigger. It was my insurance policy. I checked the script. Active. Waiting. Justin had the files. Yes. The presentation for the Global Developers Group was ready. I checked the news feed on my second monitor. The pitch was scheduled for Tuesday morning at the downtown real estate exchange, 48 hours away. He was going to stand on a stage in front of investors worth billions, presenting my work as his own. He would smile, charm them, and sell my effort as if it were his. I closed my laptop. That calm I felt earlier had hardened into something sharp and deliberate. I didn't need to hack the server. I didn't need to stop the meeting. I needed it to happen. I needed him on that stage. Bright lights, high stakes, perfect conditions for what I had prepared. The script wasn't just a delete function. It exposed the truth. But there was a catch. The trigger wasn't remote. To prevent accidental execution, the script required a local handshake. I had to be on the same Wi-Fi as the presentation computer. I had to be in the room. Tuesday morning arrived with a mocking bright sun. Outside the real estate exchange, a fortress of glass and steel, I adjusted my blazer, gripped my phone, the detonator, and walked towards security. I had no plan B. My entire strategy relied on my brother's arrogance. I assumed he'd be too busy polishing his ego to revoke my access. I was wrong. I tapped my badge against the scanner. No green light. Just a low, angry buzz. Red. Access denied. I tried again. Red. A security guard stepped in front of the turnstile. His presence was larger than my confidence. "Badge invalid, step back," he said. "There's a mistake," I replied, keeping my voice steady. "I'm the lead architect for this morning's pitch. My name is Giselle." He didn't even check the screen. "System shows your credentials were terminated yesterday. You're on the do not admit list. Terminated with cause." I froze. Justin hadn't just stolen the work. He had erased me from the project entirely. He had planned for this. He knew I would try to intervene, so he fired me from the company I helped build, ensuring I couldn't be in the room when it mattered most. I froze, realizing the flaw in my plan. The dead man's switch required a local connection. If I was standing outside, I was just a spectator to my own work being stolen. Then a black SUV pulled up to the curb. The VIP doors opened. My parents stepped out first. Richard looked every bit the statesman in his tailored suit. Patricia glowed in pearls and silk, playing the proud matriarch perfectly. And then, Justin. He stepped onto the pavement, adjusting his cufflinks, projecting the image of a brilliant visionary. They were laughing, celebrating before a single contract was signed. Then they saw me. Not afraid. Not guilty. My mother sighed, the weight of disappointment in her expression as if I were an inconvenience. My father shook his head and gestured for her to go inside. But Justin stopped. He looked straight at me, standing behind the security line, blocked by a guard, my phone useless in my hand. He smiled. Not a kind smile. The smile of the boy who had broken my toys and never faced consequences. He leaned toward the glass doors, locked eyes with me, and mouthed 2 words, "Go home." Then he turned and walked inside. The golden doors slid shut behind him. I was locked out. 20 minutes to pitch time. $3.5 million on the line. My work. My life's effort. And I was stuck on the sidewalk. I didn't argue with the guard. I didn't cause a scene. I stepped out of sight, pulled out my phone and opened a contact I hadn't used in 2 years, Marcus Sterling. He was the lead developer for the rival firm bidding against my family today. 2 years ago, I had tipped him off about a zoning issue on one of his sites, not for favors, just because it was the right thing to do. He owed me 1 text. "I'm in the lobby. I can prove the Green City IP is stolen. Get me in." 2 minutes later, the elevator doors opened. Sterling stepped out, flanked by his legal team. No questions. No proof demanded yet. He just looked at the guard. "She's my external consultant. She's with us." The guard stepped aside. Just like that, the fortress crumbled. I slipped into the boardroom, staying near the shadows of the AV console, ready to take control of what was mine. The room was enormous, but all the air belonged to one man. Justin stood center stage, completely in his element. Behind him, a 20-foot LED wall displayed a rotating 3D model of my city. He looked confident, charismatic, untouchable, and completely fraudulent. "This ecosystem," he said, sweeping his arm wide, "was born from a vision I had 3 years ago. It's not just architecture. It's a philosophy I cultivated." My parents sat in the front row. nodding proudly. Proud of the lie, proud of the thief. I pulled out my phone. My thumb hovered over the Wi-Fi settings. RX current conference. I entered the guest password Sterling had whispered moments earlier. Connected. The handshake was complete. The dead man's switch buried inside the presentation software pinged my phone. Active. Awaiting authorization. I looked up at Justin one last time. He was laughing at his own joke, soaking in the admiration of billionaires. He truly believed he had won. He thought deleting my name meant erasing my existence. I felt no guilt, no hesitation, only the calm certainty of a judge delivering a verdict. I tapped execute. I didn't look at my screen. I watched Justin's face. In a single second, his grin collapsed. His eyes widened, reflecting a sudden flood of crimson light. The room's lighting hadn't changed, but the massive LED wall behind him had turned the color of fresh blood. Silence slammed down hard. Investors leaned forward. My parents stood up. Justin froze as the glowing eco-city vanished. In its place, a flashing red wireframe screamed across the screen. Stolen property. True. Author, Giselle's signature forged. Project terminated. Justin slammed the clicker. Fix it, it's a hack, he stammered. It's not, I said, stepping out of the shadows. It's a copyright claim. I didn't stay for the explosion. The elevator doors closed on shouting investors and my mother's frantic excuses. In the parking garage, I reached my car, and a fist slammed down on the hood. My father stood there, wild-eyed, his face purple with rage. You think you won? He shouted. I took out a $50,000 loan against your condo using your power of attorney. The money's gone. You're broke. Homeless. He had forgotten one detail. The account he wired the funds through was a joint account, and I had already moved the money. You didn't save Justin, I told him calmly. You paid me. He stared as I drove away. Outside, sunlight hit the windshield. I had $50,000, a job offer waiting, and, for the first time, a life no one else controlled.